Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to you who are viewing this video. We, Group Chinese from KBE2, will be presenting our research proposal entitled The Impacts of Media Contents from Digital Streaming Platforms to its Cultural Lifestyle Population Use. Our group consists of 4 members, namely Mohmad, Nazhan, Khaimin, Mohamad, Safwan, Kamirul, Mohamad, Zulfahmi bin Mohamad, Fauzi, and Mohamad, Hidayat, Mirza bin Shahrom. Now, before we get started, I'm Mohamad Zulfahmi, who will be guiding you through Chapter 1 and everything it entails. Alright, first up, the research background. The advancement of technology through the introduction of new media has provided easy access to entertainment via various media outlets. This means that the access of entertainment today are no longer as orthodox as it was in the past decades. Televisions and radios nor print medias are no longer the sole access of entertainment in present time. According to Almekos in his research stated that we in the 21st century are living in convergent media environments in which the conventional media are fusing with the telecommunications and IT industry. This convergence has led us to an easier and broader access of media and its various contents. The Washington Post reported that video streaming platforms can account for about up to 30% of internet traffic. Now, what are video streaming platforms? A famous one would be YouTube, which I'm very convinced that you who are watching this video are very familiar with. But in this research, our focus is on platforms that offer video on demand services, or in simpler terms, a platform functioning as replacement for television as the source of entertainment access. And some of such popular platforms include Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, IT, iFlix, and many more. However, it is worth noting that the users of the digital streaming platforms are more synonymous with the youth, as they are more interested with entertainment contents offered by the mass media. Now, shall we move on to the problem statement? Despite the advancement of technology, which is positively intended at the first place, there are problems that arise with it. According to research, one of the causes leading to the decline of morality among youth is the contents and programs broadcasted in the mass media. This was also emphasized by another research that the development of such new media communication technology can indirectly influence the social values of the community. Therefore, it is vital that the community tackles these problems, especially when it is associated with the youth. What about the research objectives? What do we wish to achieve from this study? Firstly, we want to identify the most frequently accessed digital streaming platform by Malaysian youths. Secondly, we want to recognize the type of media content that is frequently viewed on digital streaming platforms by them. And third, we want to investigate the positive and negative impacts of the media contents from the digital streaming platforms to its cultural lifestyle of the youths. When talking about research questions, it surely must be related to the objectives. Therefore, our research questions are: what is the most frequently accessed digital streaming platform by Malaysian youths? Secondly, what kind of media content is frequently viewed on digital streaming platforms by them? Last but not least, what are the positive and negative impacts of the media contents from the digital streaming platforms towards the cultural lifestyle? What is the significance of this research? This research will help to uncover what digital streaming platforms the youth of today favor, what type of contents they have been assessing for viewing, and how the contents impact their cultural lifestyle. We believe that through this research will significantly contribute to the community. What about the scope of the study? Well, the research will be focusing on students from random picked tertiary education institutions in Malaysia. In other words, we will be choosing about 150 students from randomly picked universities in Malaysia as a sample of our study. I believe that's all for chapter 1. I've guided you through the research background, problem statement, research objectives and questions, the significance of the research, and also the scope of the study. Now we'll be moving on to chapter 2.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mohamad Nazhan. My matric number 1171240. Next, we're gonna talk about literature review. Basically, our research is about digital streaming. So, in our literature review, we're gonna talk about first research. They are talking about which are talking about development of digital streaming, and then impact of digital streaming. And then we're going to talk about conceptualization, and then we're going to talk about theoretical perspective. Next, we're going to talk about past research, talking about development of digital streaming. According to Shafizan Muhammad, in her article entitled "New Media, Cultural Imperialism, and the Malay Muslim Society in the Malaysia," she said with the rapid development of broadband technologies has created a profitable industry of streaming service. Some popular streaming services such as YouTube, Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Hulu, and so on. Basically, digital streaming have given impact to television programs. How? Is study by Asma Maisa and others, she found the reason why many people subscribe to Netflix. Netflix is one of the biggest digital streaming platform. Why they choose Netflix is because Netflix have up to date content rather than television repeating the same content again and again. Uh, in other aspect, a consumer, we can see the consumer right now prefer over-the-top streaming service instead of cable bundles, which is traditional television. As a result, it is shown that people attend to digital streaming rather than television programs. Next, we're gonna talk about impact of digital streaming. It can come two effects, positive and negative. First, we're gonna talk about positive. According to Haryati Abdul Karim, people who view foreign programs are influenced in culturally. For instance, people who watch dramas from Korea tend to study the language, which can see is phenomenon happen in Malaysia. Other than that, people subscribe to digital streaming platform like Netflix because audience could use it as a source of information from historical and documentary contents to learn about it. Based on negative effect, Netflix offers unrated and uncensored content based on Shafizan Muhammad, such as living carefree, sexual engagement. These are against the cultural and moral values of Malaysians, which can be very influencing. Other than that, according to Asma Maisa, a study revealed the experience was found on subscribers from Netflix are concerned and anxious. Why? Because almost all of Netflix content are uncensored, including foul language, violence, nudity, sex, and LGBT agendas.
My name is Muhammad Safwan bin Kamirul Ain. My metric number 1171243. Now I will explain about conceptualization that used in our research. First of all, in this research, there are two variables. First variable is type of media content that is frequently viewed on digital streaming platform by Malaysian youth, and the second variable is impact towards cultural lifestyle of Malaysian youth. Both of these variables will be carried out by recognizing the type of media content that are frequently viewed on digital streaming platform by Malaysian youth, and we will identify the positive and negative impact of the media content from the digital streaming platforms towards their cultural lifestyle.
Next, we're gonna talk about theoretical perspective. This study is similar to social learning theory introduced by Albert Bandura. This theory is about learning behavior by observing a model. So there are four elements in the process of social learning. First, attention must be the intention of the model, and the retention able to remember the behavior, and the reproduction able to replicate the behavior, and the motivation how they demonstrate the behavior. Basically, the researchers use this theory to identify that positive or negative impact on how people on from people in their observation from digital streaming platform today.
Now let's we move to the chapter 3. In chapter 3 there are 3 components that we have to know. First is research design and framework. Secondly is research method. Third, sampling producer. Fourth, pre-test and data collection. And fifth is data analysis technique. And lastly, the reliability and validity. This is the component that we have to know as a researcher. Okay, we move to the research design and framework. The design of the study is very important to conduct a research study, and it is as a guide to make sure that the objectives of the study are achieved based on the objectives. Researchers have acknowledged about the factors and impacts of media content from digital streaming platform towards the culture lifestyle of Malaysian youth. Therefore, the most appropriate study design was used for the study is a questionnaire-shaped study. Data collection was done using a quantitative method approach. The quantitative approach adopted by the researcher in this study to collect primary data is through questionnaires. Next, we move to research method. The main objectives were achieved by using descriptive quantitative methods by the researcher in the study. Through the study, researcher has collected data from respondents through the questionnaires that were distributed via WhatsApp and email to the university students. We move to the sampling producer. Sampling producers are related to the process of selecting a number of respondents from the study population. For this study, the study sample consists of students from Malaysian university, and the total of the respondent is 550 people were randomly selected subject to the study. Next, we move to pre-test and data collection. A pre-test was performed to identify the reality of the sample based on the study summary. A pre-test is the most critical method for testing questions used in the inquiry and can be caught by the respondents. If the researcher failed to examine the questionnaire item interpretation, respondents may misinterpret the ideas. By taking the feedbacks, answers, and the suggestion from the respondents, the data from the pre-test will be obtained. To assess the reliability of the advantages of online videos game for the students' communication, a total of 150 respondents were taken as pre-test. The questionnaire is composed of Likert scale, checklist question, category question, and ranking question. It was divided into 3 sections, which is a descriptive overview of the study participant basic facts, the digital streaming platform they often access, the content they frequently watch, and the impact of the content towards them. The validity of the questionnaire is based on the collection of pre-test data. Last but not least, we move to data analysis technique. Students from random Malaysian university were included in this research. The researcher entered the information gathered for analysis in the statistical program for social science, which is known as SPSS. And the first thing that was carried out was a global method of analysis for the 2-step, with the goal of summarizing the paragraph into a smaller number of factors underlying them. To consider the independence of variables, the software also used orthogonal rotation analysis, and the stability was measured using the Combat alpha equation as well. Lastly, we move to reliability and validity. Actually, to prevent the accuracy of the instrument from being subjected to errors, the validity and reliability of the instruments is very important. The higher the instrument value and level of validity and reliability, the more detailed the data that will be collected to generate a good analysis of quality. In this research, by demonstrating to the specialists, particularly the supervisor of this research project, the analyst checked the validity of the survey used in conducting this research. The questionnaire can be corrected or justified by this move if there is any mistakes in the questions that may cause the respondent to misunderstand. The researcher circulated the questionnaire to the targeted respondent after questionnaire was used to test it. The research tests the consistency of the scale used by the alpha factor of Cronbach. As the total value of the Cronbach alpha coefficient is 0.95, the result of the study showed that the scale was of high quality. These outcomes show the relevance and the potential of the scale to be used in the conduct of scientific research. In this questionnaire, the analysis utilized 15 items, and the result of the 5 years question suggests that for both passes, the value Cronbach alpha varies from 0.31 to 0.85. The validity and reliability of the questionnaire used in this research makes this finding simpler and more popular.
In conclusion, this proposal is built upon three main objectives, which are to identify most frequently accessed digital streaming platform by Malaysian youth, to recognize the type of media content that is frequently viewed on digital streaming platforms by Malaysian youth, and to identify the positive and negative impact of the media contents from the digital streaming platforms towards the cultural lifestyle of Malaysian youth. This research will be significant in helping to reveal the effects of the media contents towards the cultural lifestyle of Malaysian youth. A literature review also has done by extracting important findings from previous studies related to the topic of research, which will be the basis and foundation to help expanding ideas and discussion. This research also is conducted by a quantitative approach, using questionnaire as a tool of data collection, which will be consisted of Likert scale question. Then the data obtained will then be analyzed using the SPSS program, which will be interpreted descriptively by the researchers. That's all from us. Thank you.